Hey lovelies, you're welcome back to Reviews and Recaps. Let's talk about Love and Marriage Detroit Season 1, Episode 2. Okay, so last week we saw that everyone was at the park for Christina and Brandon's wedding anniversary. Okay, so that continued. So Christina was basically upset, honey. She was upset that her husband, Brandon, did not have the decency to tell her that he signed a new artist. Now, we talked about that previously, so I'm not going to go into a lot of detail. But one thing I picked up about it was that he clearly lacked any accountability. I don't know if you guys picked up that he said in his confessionals that he didn't think he did anything wrong. I'm like, boy, what? What do you mean you didn't do anything wrong? You should tell your wife these things. The reason you have problems with your wife is because you don't tell her things and then she has to call you and then you lie. It's like, why not just tell the truth? You know who your wife is. You know how she's going to feel. If you have to send her a text message, honey, I'm just going to say this. I really want to sign this artist. I think she's good. Da, da, da. Whatever. Communicate with your wife. I just felt like everyone was blaming Colby, right? Now, Colby was being messy, of course, right? However, this man should have told his wife. He should have said it. So Anthony talking to Russell, that Russell is going to have to learn how to keep his mouth shut. I'm like, bro, that is just rude and uncalled for. I did not like that at all. But I also understand that if, for instance, I was the friend and I was on the receiving end of his wife or someone speaking up about my business that I told you in confidence, which you then said over the pillow talk, I would feel some type of way about it. However, I'm not naive. Anytime I tell my friends that are married something, I know that they're going to speak to their spouse about it. It's part of conversations. Even when they're not married, most people discuss with their boyfriends their friends' business. Now, I'm not a person that does that. However, I know a lot of people who do that. So that's just what it is. So if I don't want your husband to know, I'm going to tell you. Simple, short, straightforward. So moving on to the next scene then, Colby and Russell were doing like DIY in their house. And they started talking and having like a recap about what happened at Christina and Brandon's anniversary event. Okay, so they start talking about it. Colby wasn't really taking accountability for her part, which I thought like, sis, you know you were being messy and that's okay, right? Accept that. So Russell was basically trying to tell her like, girl, you need to stay out of these people's business. Let's focus on our home. Let's focus on our business. Now, Colby was acting like she didn't know what he was talking about. So she started to be like, oh, I didn't really like the way she was speaking to him at some point. It was coming across as very demeaning, like, and very antagonistic. I didn't like that. I was like, girl, why are you antagonizing this person? And they're like, okay, speak up. Like, bro, don't do that. I wouldn't appreciate if someone did that to me, especially if I'm upset by something that you've done. And then you proceed to say to me to speak up, or say, I'm paraphrasing here, but she kept saying stuff that was very antagonistic. Let me know in the comment section below if you guys picked up on that. Because I was just like, girl, if you don't shush, like what is going on with that? Anyways, this is where it went left for me, right? I was on Russell's side until he showed me that, bro, he ain't got it all together, honey. Because what? Russell hit Colby with he wants to become an ordained minister in church. Now, there's nothing wrong in being an ordained minister. I absolutely support that if you feel like you're called to do that. All well and good. However, it felt like it was completely out of nowhere. Did you see Colby's face? Colby was like, huh? She had that shocked face like, what the heck? Now, as if that wasn't bad enough, honey. He said to her that he has been going to divinity school for the last 2 weeks. My thing is, so where have you been telling your wife that you've been going? This is the problem with like hiding things, right? It gives the impression that you're a liar, which you are if you're hiding things, right? But not just that, right? It makes me think, what else are you hiding? If you were able to hide that you were doing something for 2 weeks and I was laying in the bed with you for 2 weeks, I knew nothing about it. And this is what I don't understand. when people do these sorts of things, it's like you sat on it for 2 weeks. We were in the bed. I'm sure we were doing all sorts of things during that 2 weeks, and you didn't think to let your wife know what is going on. That is hella wrong. So she, of course, is upset, right? So he's trying to be like, yes, as a man, he's a visionary. Don't get me wrong. As a man, yes, you have to have a vision for your household. I 110% agree with that. However, you're not the only one in this household, honey. You need to communicate with your wife. You need to let her know what this vision is. You need to discuss your plans with her, and then she will tell you her input. She could amend the plan. She could suggest amendments. All these sorts of things. You don't just spring things up on your wife after you've already done it. I was like, nah, these men on this show are all the same. What? How you finna tell your wife 2 weeks later, yes, I want to become an ordained minister. Honey, you're not wanting to become. You are in the process of becoming an ordained minister. There are two different things, honey. You kept that quiet. So, of course, she's pissed now. And she's like, so is there anything you're hiding and you want to tell me? I thought he was going to say no, but bro did not say no, honey. He had one more thing. So he starts talking about he's thinking of buying a gym. And she was like pissed off. She's like, you see me in the house every day and you didn't think to bring it up. And I didn't appreciate the way he was then trying to act like the Bible is in support of that behavior. No, honey, the Bible ain't in support of that behavior. No. I don't know what Bible you're reading, but that Bible ain't in support of that BS that you're doing. If you really loved her like Christ loved the church, you will communicate with her. Love is expressive, honey. Since you want to use the scripture, let's use the scripture. Let's go there. What you did is not a display of that sort of love. Okay. Moving on. So Christina and Brandon just moved into a penthouse. Okay, so they showed us a little bit of them trying to set up and whatnot. So Brandon then started talking about the whole incident at the park and everything that Colby said, right? So Brandon started putting little digs about Colby and started saying that, he felt like she had that mean girl look when she was asking that question and tried to mimic her. He was so on point with it. I can't lie. It was funny as hell. Anyways, so he tried to mimic her and basically say that, she's trying to copy everything that Christina does. And so Christina and Colby are both influencers, right? So apparently Colby had a conversation with Christina about doing a sip and shop. Next day, Christina went ahead and did it. Now, guys, so this has happened to me before. I've had a friend who every time I would discuss certain things with her, I'll just find out that she does it. And so we're still friends to this day, but I just know that I don't discuss my plans with her. I discuss the plan after it's been done, right? So let's say everything is all done. I'm like, oh, yay, guess what? That's the sort of relationship we have, as opposed to me telling when the process is. Because as a friend, she's a really, really good friend. It's just that it just feels like every time I discuss anything with her about my plans or whatnot, somehow she gets that inspiration to do the exact same thing. So yeah, our relationship is just, sometimes you can still stay friends with certain people. You just adjust how you relate with them. Okay, so let's talk about Anthony and Latoya. So they started discussing. I feel like this whole episode was them discussing freaking Brandon and Christina at this point. They were discussing the whole thing. I was like, alrighty. It's very much given Mattel and Melody season 1. But let's move on. So Anthony was basically saying he didn't really appreciate Russell telling Colby, and his wife was basically trying to say pillow talk happens, but he still was not feeling the fact that Russell did that, right? So I'm like, all right, cool, bro, whatever. I understand the bro code thing, right? And then Latoya started to mention that she saw parallels between her and Christina's marriage, and Anthony was like, bro, what? he was not feeling that at all. And Latoya, if what Anthony is saying is true, that you actually agreed for him to go to Atlanta, then change your mind, then you guys are not the same. The parallels do not work, honey. Like, no, you are dragging it, sis. It ain't that deep. There are no parallels in this one, honey. Chill. Anyway, so moving on now, Brandon went to the club, honey. The same club as I said he ain't gonna be going. He sure did. And so he invited the boys. And this was so interesting because I'm just there like, okay, he's there chilling with the boys. I'm seeing like some girls in like onesies with their ass out. I'm like, ooh, Christina is not going to like it. And I was right. Next thing Christina calls, it's like she has him on a leash because she knows, she can almost sense it because she calls right at the right. She's always on time, it seems. But anyway, so she calls now and she's asking like, oh, what they up to and whatnot. Brandon was just lying. Brandon was lying. He did not say he was in the club. I'm like, what the heck? So she's like, you must got some like booties in your booty shaking or something. He was like, no, denied it. I'm like, hun, you should have just told the truth because guess what? She's going to find out when she watches the scene. She's going to find out at some point and then be offended, then be upset. Why not just speak up and tell the truth? But yet again, he decided to lie. And this is his problem. He got a lying problem. Someone needs to cast that demon out because what in the lying problem is going on? Like, just say the truth. This is why no one would trust you because you are always lying. Anyway, so the fellas start asking him about like the whole situation that he had with his artist. So he was like, oh yeah, he was writing a song for an artist. And you know, like when you write songs for artists, you get all up in their lives and whatnot, trying to get to know them and whatnot. So he developed like this attachment to his art and eventually started also exchanging conversations with his artist and venting about his wife. I'm like, what? You were out here talking to another woman about your wife, dogging your wife out. Are you mad? So apparently his wife was just casually doing her thing, opened up the laptop and all the text messages came up. She must have been upset, devastated, everything in the book, honey, because oh, yeah, I can't even imagine what she must have been thinking, what would have been going through her mind. That would have been such a very, very sad situation. Like, I feel bad just thinking about it. So I can only imagine what it felt like for her. Like, horrible, I can imagine. Devastating. But anyways, moving on. So Christina and Colby went out. They caught up. They had like a recap chat about what happened. Colby apologized for the way it went. And then Colby started to tell her all the shenanigans with him going to divinity school and whatnot and how he didn't tell her. So pretty much what it seems like is like Christina and Colby are in the same relationship and very, very similar relationship and parallels to Brandon and Christina. So it seems like they all have very similar issues, which is weird. It's like, where you'll find all of them? It feels like there's a lot of misogyny going on in that circle. I'm not sure where it's coming from, but I'm sure it would continue to show up throughout the season. But yeah, it's giving misogyny and I don't understand it. Anyways, finally, the final scene. It was a wine event. So Latoya has this wine called Opulence, right? So she was having like a wine event. She spoke her speech. She said what she said. Next thing now, everyone is chilling, whatnot. Anthony starts talking and blabbing as usual. That's how he let it slip that the guys went to the club. I'm like, bro, you had one job. Considering you were so upset at Russell for letting it slip, how dare you let it slip, honey? How dare you? I feel like he began so into all the business and wanting to tell the tea that the tea just flows out of his mouth. He needs to chill, bro. Anyways, so they start talking and whatnot. He lets it slip. And so now Christina is like, what club? You guys went to the club. And I'm like, oh my God. So Anthony starts insinuating that Christina basically has him on a leash. So they start going a little back and forth. Christina had a friend next to her called Chelsea. And so Chelsea then interrupts now to be like, oh, I know I don't know you guys, but why does it seem like you're being very passionate about the dealings between Christina and Brandon? So he's like, well, I've known them for a lot. I've known Brandon for some years now and whatnot, right? This is me trying to imitate Anthony. But anyways, so he then starts going off on the girl. He's like, she's a little girl and she should not play with him. I'm like, what? You're being hella disrespectful to to a woman that you don't even know. Like, what is going on? His wife had to be rubbing. I feel like she was so embarrassed. Did you see her? She looked so embarrassed. Like, what in the world is he doing? Girl, as if it wasn't bad enough. This man said to this girl that he basically said to Christina, honey, that she needs to be careful of who she keeps around. I'm like, what? Bro, that escalated quickly, man. But that was the end of the episode. Please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already, and make sure you tap that bell for notifications so you know every single time that I post. Also, what did you guys think of this episode as a whole? I think it was alright, not bad at all, but it definitely is giving Love Marriage Huntsville, but I will continue to cover the show because I am enjoying it. It does seem like there's a lot of drama and there's a lot of issues in a lot of these people's marriages, but I will continue to cover it for you guys, so please share and please support this channel, honey. You know, I'm trying to get monetized, honey, so please, you guys, please get me up to this 1,000 subscribers. Let's hit the mark so I can get monetized. And yeah, girl, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you later. Bye.